And these are going to be fighting for the 3rd place match, which is streamed here on the Star Ladder Twitch channel. But of course, we also have that finals coming up later for the main stage. It's going to be Mario vs TY, of course, also being a best out of 7.
Yeah, that one's going to be cast by Pig and Roddy. We'll have Miyu and Tenshi up on the analyst couch. Going to be a lot of fun for sure. And man, best of 7. It's going to be the longest series we've cast all tournaments here. We've had a lot of best of 3s and a couple of best of 5s along the way.
Yeah, some very quick ones as well. I mean, I think the majority of games have been played with a 3-0 or 2-0, which was kind of heartbreaking, you know, when we went through brackets so quickly. Yesterday was a really short day. But hopefully today we're going to see, we did start with 2 clean sweeps, but hopefully we're going to see a bit more of some close-knitted action here. To be honest, I'm going to say, Neeb vs ShoWTimE, this is a very close matchup for me. Like, I have a really hard time predicting who's going to be the favorite here.
Yeah, it's very hard for me to predict as well. I mean, Neeb's PvP has been stellar for a very long time, and if I had to pick one player, I would probably pick Neeb going into this one. But anything can really happen in a best of 7 of PvP. I mean, part of the reason we do best of 7 is so that the better player will win, but, you know, there's a lot of momentum that can come into this one. If ShoWTimE takes a couple of quick early games, can definitely get the ball rolling for him. Newkirk Precinct to start it off is 2-player map. You can get in there and kind of scout what's going on. And finally, we have our first deviation in builds, which is, it looks like ShoWTimE is going for 2 Stalkers, whereas Neeb is going for 2 Adepts.
Indeed. So a bit of a deviation to start things off with, but going to see who decides to really go out here, because as ShoWTimE comes up with a double Stalker, Neeb has got to be careful with his Adept, of course. He's shading quite aggressively, and he did get out with his probe, but I do believe ShoWTimE's probe was dealt with, and ShoWTimE splitting up his Stalker right now, looking for some hits, but right away is trying to catch that shade.
Whoa, that's a mistake. Going to take a bit of damage onto that Adept. May even go down at this point.
Ooh. Yeah, that'd be awful.
Yeah, does go down. That's really unfortunate. Neeb finishing the shade, not paying attention to his Adept, and will have a lot less of a chance of getting any damage done. This Adept is going to kill this probe, though. And block that Nexus.
Catch. Yeah, gotta delay that Nexus for some time here. But of course, ShoWTimE gonna run down as soon as possible and also plant that Nexus that we already see from Neeb.
The Mothership Core is heading in there. I think I'm watching the wrong observer. There we go. Mothership Core was heading in, trying to get a scalp, but uh-oh, these 2 Stalkers are going to find it. An immediate recall is necessary. We'll get back into the main.
So we're going to see ShoWTimE now decide to go into the Twilight right away. No Robo, so it doesn't look like he wants to go into any kind of Warpers and play right away. Rather, he's going to get either the Glaives or the Blink, it looks like, to start things off with. While we do see Neeb going for the Robo first into Twilight, so we might see the Warpism right away. And of course, having an easier time getting that first Observer out. Gonna be Blink coming out for ShoWTimE, so he'll be having a pretty easy time against any kind of Warpism harassment.
Yeah, going to be able to get the scouting information too here in just a bit. Just follow up with that Robo of his own. And we do see the Nexus has come out a lot sooner here for Neeb. Is already up and mining. He's up 2 probes as well, so the economy is much better for Neeb at this point in the game. And we'll see if ShoWTimE wants to go across the map and potentially put on some pressure. We do have a Blink from Neeb as well as a follow-up just a little bit later.
Yeah, Neeb's Warpism is coming out, as he does bring those 2 Adepts with it. He might even go for a bit of a warp in beforehand, so that ShoWTimE can't see this coming right away. But ShoWTimE does have 2 Stalkers in position. Hasn't scouted all too much on the tech here, but he's reading quite well into this, being ready for whatever can hit him, really. And right now with Hallucinated Phoenix, could try to see this, but Neeb going on in from the south position.
Yeah, just 2 Adepts in this. It looks like he may want to pick off a couple of probes here, get that 2-shot. Let's see what he can do. Gonna get 3 and pick up. Takes a little bit of damage on that Adept, but definitely very worth it. Take a look at the probe counts already, 40 to 33. With the earlier Nexus and the 3 probes that he just killed, beginning to widen that gap.
Very interesting here for Neeb right away, going for the Robo facility and the Bay right away. So we're going to be able to see the disruptive production coming out really quick, unless he wants to go for the Colossi, of course. Coming out here with a Warp Prism again, trying to find some more damage, but very nice defense so far from ShoWTimE. But I do have to say, as you're pointing out, he's falling behind in terms of workers. He's got to be careful with all the harassment Neeb is looking to do here.
Yeah, I was expecting him to potentially move out on the map and try to do a bit of damage, but so far, ShoWTimE's style is very passive. You know, in a lot of the matchups that he plays in PvT, we saw him earlier just defending, and now he's kind of just sitting back in his base. I mean, PvP, it is really hard to find too much damage, but I feel like he's kind of just playing from behind and accepting his fate and not really doing much, whereas Neeb is like, okay, I'm going to get a tiny bit of damage here, a small little edge here, and slowly eke out those advantages so I can make a big advantage towards the mid-game.
I actually like that point you're making, because Neeb is doing just that right now. He's getting double disruptive production compared to the singular one of ShoWTimE. And Neeb coming out here is going to have a lot of disruptors very early on in the game, which does make it very difficult for someone like ShoWTimE to start defending against it. Of course, those balls can start coming at all points and gets really difficult to dodge, of course. As ShoWTimE is trying to take his third, Neeb is pushing out, and with a few more warp-ins, this could become a really dangerous army.
Where's that warp prism? I want to actually take a look at this. It is over on the left side over there. So if he can get that with his army, or potentially poke the front and towards the back, he is going to be able to really do a lot of damage here. With all of the disruptors that he has gotten, he is taking a third base behind this as well. A little bit behind ShoWTimE, but I'm really liking his position here.
Just the same for me as well. I mean, I think right now Neeb is just waiting for the last few disruptors to go in here and try to find some nice hits. He's poking in a bit, and he's going to try to spread his disruptors. Got to watch out for those Novas. The first disruptor does come in forward, gets picked off right away. A disruptor Nova, though, getting 3 Stalkers. Very nice pickup for Neeb, but you got to be careful with your disruptors, of course.
Oh, he's going to get another nice big hit there. That one Immortal taking a ton of damage. Neeb, he is so famous for his disruptor control in this matchup. Oh, it looks like he got the disruptor in the back there. There's only one left for ShoWTimE.
Very, very nice hit for Neeb, pushing his ShoWTimE into a corner as well. The first Immortal does fall, and now there's only one disruptor in the back. All this keeping ShoWTimE alive, but Neeb, with a brilliant push, is going to clean up the rest. The last disruptor Noah does come out, doesn't kill anything.
And there you have it, just taking a huge supply lead now. Going to blink underneath that mothership core. GG is called, and Neeb takes game number 1.
Yeah, I gotta say, very, very cool push here from Neeb. Starting things off with a bit of early harassment, getting a few probes, getting ahead, and then right away into the double disruptor production. Yeah. And I gotta say, it gave him that kind of lead when he was pushing, because ShoWTimE only had like 2 or so, and he was already up to 4.
Yeah, it was the extra production. He got ahead in the economy early on, and then he also cut probes at 46. He was making that third Nexus, but he wasn't essentially, you know, trying to transition fully into the late game. He wanted to hit that timing with the double disruptor production, get 4 of them out, and then go for the push. And ShoWTimE was just caught off guard. We saw him up at like 51 probes towards the end, and keep in mind he was down about 7 earlier on, so he probed up so much, maybe I guess an extra 17 from there, whereas Neeb only went for an extra 6. So that's a lot of lost minerals, a lot of stalkers that could have been in that fight. And as well, I mean, Neeb, as I said before, his disruptor control has always been 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. You know, one of the best, if not the best, Protoss at controlling disruptors. And we saw it there in that fight as well.
Definitely. Very, very cool push here from Neeb for the first map. But second map is going to be on Vani. A bit of an interesting one, because you do have the threat of the War Prism into that natural base they can take. But then again, I mean, Neeb being so strong with disruptors, do you think ShoWTimE has to kind of deviate away from these kind of disruptor wars?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose he could try to open up Stargate perhaps and try to do a lot of damage early on as well. Maybe force a Phoenix War if that's where he feels comfortable. Especially on a map like Vani, I think this would be a good time to try to go for that if that's what he wants to do and not want to play into Neeb's hands. I like that idea, actually.
Yeah, well, we're going to see here, Brenda, because we have entered Vani Research Station, and in the southern position, it is going to be the yellow Protoss for the US. It is going to be Neeb.
There he is. And up in the top right, or actually in the top. My observer's kind of wonky right now. It is, of course, ShoWTimE, the red Protoss.
All right.
I found you.
You found me?
You were on 4 there. You were on 5 in the last game. Okay. So we did have a probe coming out here very early from ShoWTimE. I think he wanted to steal the gases, but a really nice block from Neeb to not allow that.
Yeah, I gotta say, Neeb right now wants to make sure that he can do exactly what he feels like and he doesn't have to deviate from his original plan. And that means, though, he's got a block with 2 pylons and he's spending a bit of extra minerals early on. But, of course, that also means that ShoWTimE doesn't get that full scout and he can't actually go for that block, only seeing one of the gases right now. ShoWTimE, though, does also go for the double gas, and except for the block in the front here, is going to be mirrored builds to start things off with.
Yeah, no doubt ShoWTimE will block that off here. Looks like he'll leave a hole, perhaps put a Zealot in if he wants to, or any other kind of unit. And you can see this probe is kind of annoying, is going to force a unit out here a little bit early before that Cybernetics core does finish up. And is ShoWTimE going to go for a proxy here? Yes, he is. Pylon is going to be thrown down, and I have to think that's going to be a Stargate.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic position for a Stargate as well, because you wouldn't scout for it. I'm always a big DT fan, so I'm just going to keep it there. I want to see DTs, but I completely agree with you. A Stargate right there would be beautiful. And I think right now Neeb, who sent out a Zealot.
Okay.
Oh, it's going to be a Twilight to start things off, and it's actually going to be Neeb who opens up with a Stargate of his own. Almost proxied in base, I want to say.
Yeah, it's kind of hidden, you know. It's back there in the bottom right corner. And yeah, I suppose because of the positioning here for ShoWTimE, it would have been like the safe proxy of a Stargate, and we were talking about how that would be a decent idea for ShoWTimE to go for that kind of play, but looks like it's probably going to be DTs.
Yeah, it definitely can be, and I gotta say, it's kind of scary facing DTs, but this wall-off from Neeb will actually help against that. We'll buy him a few extra seconds, those extra swings to react. Gonna see if that Dark Shrine does come down here for ShoWTimE. Looks like he's not gonna get any blink or anything like that. Deals with the Zealots right away, and that comes the Dark Shrine.
Down it comes, right on 150 gas, and I wonder how he's going to do this, because no robotics facility out on the map here for ShoWTimE. He has no warp prism potential. As you said, he's kind of just going to throw it in the front, but there's already a wall. So, you know, with oracles coming out, we'll see how many he decides to make. 2 would be ideal, so he can keep 1 at home just in case. And he is going to go with the Phoenix as the follow-up, so not going to be double oracle here.
So the good thing about getting the Phoenix right away would be if he was facing something like a Warp Prism or was facing an Oracle himself. But against the DTs, having more Oracles would actually be quite nice because of that Revelation spell. Going to see Neeb coming in, though, towards the natural. Going to see it's quite late here as he comes up into the main base. Looking for some snipes on these probes, but the Mother Core is in position. Oracle taking some damage, but will get out without taking going into that orange, at least.
Yeah. I really like that early overcharge, too, because Neeb doesn't see the entire base of ShoWTimE, so he can't really just assume that there's going to be a proxy out on the map. He, you know, he could think to himself, hey, maybe the buildings are on the left side of the map. Maybe that's where his tech is. He is going to be getting that robotics facility up and running, and he does send that Oracle back, so it seems like he has kind of sniffed this out anyway. And he's going to be ready for this.
Oh yeah, Neeb actually has his Oracle right in position. He's going to be able to tag that DT. Almost catches it. A bit of a missed force field here.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Would have been kind of a... He could just kill that if he wanted to. It seems like he wants to save the energy for the second DT. There you go. Does get it.
Very nice here from Neeb, just shutting down the DT play of ShoWTimE. Almost make it look easy, to be honest. And now we're going to see ShoWTimE getting a Warp Prism as well behind this, still making more DT, so he wants to continue the pressure. And he's getting a Stargate behind this, so he's going super tech heavy.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting to me. I suppose he says, okay, if you stick on Stargate and you don't make observers, then you're eventually going to run out of energy from that one Oracle. And he could see that the Oracle didn't have enough energy, so he wanted to try one more time. But he does confirm that, in fact, the robotics facility is out. So a very expensive kind of build from ShoWTimE really not working out.
And ShoWTimE now going into that Stargate, I'm kind of wondering what he's expecting. Like, we already see, I think, yeah, we did see a Phoenix come out here from the Stargate of Neeb. We already have Void Ray and the Oracle. And now it's scouted as well. That's a big scout from Neeb, because now he starts his Phoenix production again, and you will not beat him in the Phoenix Wars because he's already ahead.
I have to say, ShoWTimE with this build, it was kind of desperate, and it really just got shut down hardcore by the build that Neeb did. Kind of funny, you know, especially with the amount of Stargate builds we see on this map, to decide to go for something like that, but maybe just trying to sneak one. but Neeb just really responding quite well and is in total control of the series so far.
So Neeb is going to be ahead by about a Phoenix, and his target is slightly earlier than ShoWTimE's. But we've got to, of course, keep track of the fact that ShoWTimE does still have an opportunity to go for the earlier range upgrade, or he could still try to find a few Phoenix that are by themselves, because in Phoenix Wars it's a lot about position as well as numbers, of course. But both players now going to have very close builds to each other. We see Neeb and ShoWTimE at the same time now expanding. Something Neeb could try to do right now is sending out a unit or two to try to find where that proxy is.
It looks like he's sending out some hallucinations. This one will be cut off, so no scouting going to be afforded here to Neeb. And ShoWTimE, you were talking about how he's going to be about a Phoenix behind. He still is, 4-3. And he's got to be careful about moving out on the map. Phoenix is a lot like Muta's. You know, if they can kind of get into the fight, or if they get cornered, then you're kind of forced to fight because they can shoot while moving. And if you get that far behind in Phoenixes, you essentially lose the game just because of how much both players are committing to the Phoenixes.
Definitely. Phoenix Wars gets very interesting. And actually, as I was saying before the series, I love anything that has the name Wars in it in Pro Wrestling. It always gets so interesting.
Yeah. So, actually, we're just getting an update right now. Apparently, the series is a best of 5 and not a best of 7. So that's some pretty important information to know.
Yeah.
So potentially Neeb, if he wins this fight here, could be going up 2-0 and be one game away from winning an extra 30K and maybe grabbing 50K for that third place prize.
Yeah, I gotta say, this event has some really insane prize pools, especially at the higher tiers of where you rank, of course, in the event. Making 50K for this series, that would be pretty impressive, you know. Gonna have the Phoenix range coming out, though, for Neeb and ShoWTimE. Both are still completely all in with the Phoenix Wars here. They're adding more and more Stargates. No one is looking to add anything else, like Archons or anything on the ground.
No one wants to make that transition, and it doesn't surprise me too much on a map like this. Vani, there's just so much empty space. Your Phoenixers are so mobile, and if you can win the Phoenix War, you are going to win the game. So really like the idea. And third Stargate's being added, as you mentioned. What are the ground armies for both of these players? We have 2 Stalkers, a Sentry, and an Adept for Neeb, and 1 Immortal and 2 Stalkers for ShoWTimE.
Well, Neeb, though, he adds his Mothership, so he's actually going to go into full Sky Toss here. And he's even starting to add his +1, which ShoWTimE is doing as well, but he's not going for that Mothership himself. Something I want to mention, though, is the fact that Neeb has been very diligent in making his Phoenix. He kind of fell slightly behind just now recently, but he's up 16 to 13 Phoenix. And even a single Phoenix right now, when you have these battles, can be the determining factor. So it's very important to keep a track of that Phoenix number at all times. And, of course, the timing of the Phoenix range, of course.
And look at this. ShoWTimE's going to begin the transition into carriers. We don't see that out of Neeb just yet. He is adding a 4th Stargate. It seems like he really just wants to stick on the Phoenixes for now. So, whereas, you know, Neeb definitely does have the advantage in terms of Phoenixes, in terms of economy, so he could afford more Phoenixes up until this point. But ShoWTimE wants to take it slow and say, hey, I'm just going to turtle up. If I can get enough carriers, even though it's going to take me a long time to get there, I will be able to win against an only Phoenix army.
Neeb right now is moving out. He's realizing that he has an opportunity to strike. He's right now up 7 Phoenix, 22 to 15. Does find the Immortal and the Stalker right away. Everything is picked up, and ShoWTimE cannot take this fight. He's really susceptible until he gets a few carriers out.
Yeah, it's very true. You can see Neeb is even slowly pushing some ground units across. It seems like he's going to send that back for now. And look at this, the Mothership joining up. And if he can take the fight, not with these Photon Overcharges, if he can take them away from the Photon Overcharges, he is going to absolutely decimate the air army of ShoWTimE.
There's going to be a very interesting fight in front of us. Phoenix Wars with either Mothership, an extra Phoenix, or carriers. Right now, ShoWTimE is losing a lot of units, and he's got to watch out. That carrier dies so quickly. Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Okay. You thought you had a carrier. No, you don't. Not anymore. Look at this, Neeb. I think he sees that he has more Phoenixes. Going to 2-shot that carrier once again, and now he's on top of the Stargates. There's not much that ShoWTimE can do. Another carrier goes down for free, And still Neeb in the lead with this Phoenixes. It looks like he should be able to take game number 2.
Very nice play from Neeb going into that Phoenix Wars, and it was so important they scouted the transition here from ShoWTimE. Gonna see some nice Phoenix micro from both sides, but ShoWTimE just losing way too much. 23 Phoenix to 3 right now, and Neeb just crushing his opponent here on Vani.
GG, Neeb taking the 2-0 lead, and I want to clarify once again, it is in fact a best of 5. So Neeb, if he wins one more game, he gets $50,000 instead of $20,000. And I have to say, Neeb, his PvP is fantastic. This is kind of what I expected. I didn't expect a stomp like this. I was hoping we weren't going to have another 3-0, but the way it's looking, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, ShoWTimE's going to have to do something because Neeb has been the trickier one twice in a row now. He, you know, in the first game it was Neeb who started the harassment. We saw Neeb going out with a very quick disruptors. In the second map here, we did see ShoWTimE trying to be the one who put on some aggression with those DTs, but Neeb just completely turned around and he defended perfectly.
Yeah.
He killed several DTs. He went into Stargate before his opponent, scouted the transition, and just went into full Phoenix Wars while being ahead. It was pretty disgusting almost.
Yeah, it's ShoWTimE just grasping at straws, perhaps, saying, okay, I got to do something risky. And I said, when Neeb sent his Oracle into the main, I'm like, well, you know, maybe he thinks there's some buildings on the left side, you know, maybe there's some hidden tech. But I think when he went in there and he realized, oh, you don't really have that many units on the ground, like there's not that many stalkers, he said, okay, there's a decent chance that you are going DT, so let me just be safe and send it back anyway. Like, I'm not 100% sure if he was 100% sure that it was DTs that were coming, but his response was perfect, too.
Yeah. I gotta say, that pylon block just helped him so much as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that probe almost was worse for ShoWTimE than actually helping him.
Yeah. That's kind of a funny point that you mentioned. So, jumping into game number 3, match point here for this Protoss. Up in the top right, in the yellow, it is Neeb.
And his opponent in the bomb left-hand side as the red Protoss. It is going to be for Germany, ShoWTimE. And right now, ShoWTimE down 0-2 in this best out of 5. And he's just one game away from going out as the 4th place player. But of course, he can still turn things around, Brendan. But what can he do?
Yeah. It's been a rough road for ShoWTimE. I mean, he's going to, even if he loses this game, he's going to walk home with 20K. That's not bad. You can't say, oh, that sucks. You know, I played a tournament this weekend and I only got 20K. Shucks, you know? But at the same time, it's like, he had a really, really good run. He won 14 games in a row, but then he ran into the brick wall that was Maru, and I feel like, I don't want to say he was crushed or anything like that, but he definitely had a really rough time, and then he had to face one of the best PvPers in the world. Like, once you get to the end of these brackets, you really just face the best of the best, and that's what ShoWTimE is going through right now.
I also want to point out that ShoWTimE has showed some fantastic games throughout this tournament, but also it's his PvT that everyone's been hailing so much. You know, when he was playing against Maru earlier, you know, he was still putting up a really good fight. But PvP, of course, is more Neeb's forte. And, you know, ending up against Neeb PvP is always going to be very difficult. But I think at this point, like, ShoWTimE needs to do something completely different. Like, we saw him having a hard time against Neeb's pressure, and he was trying to pressure early on. I just want to see ShoWTimE coming into that mid-game and start with that blink, disruptor, or whatever really, just getting into the mid-game on equal grounds.
Yeah, that would be ideal for this player right now, and I think Roddy was mentioning it before. You were talking about his good PvT, but ShoWTimE, I'm sure he was rooting for TY almost coming into that semifinal, that second semifinal between Neeb and TY. Because I feel like ShoWTimE actually would have had a better shot against TY. I mean, he only lost 1-2 in that best-of-3 that they had at the beginning of the tournament. I think he definitely would have had a better chance.
Definitely. I think you know, it's unfortunate for ShoWTimE, but of course you do have to be good in every single matchup if you want to place high. And of course, it's a lot of money on the line right now as we do come into this map. The third map being Daybreak. Very interesting here as both players right away start rallying across the map with the Mothership cores and their Stalkers. Gonna see ShoWTimE being the more defensive player in terms of his Mothership core and Neeb keeping his Stalkers back.
Let's see if ShoWTimE can isolate this one Stalker. He was very close. Neeb on the Watchtower is going to avoid that, but now his Stalkers are out of position. going to have to rely on the other two that are about to come out here. Trying to come in and get a kill. He's going to have to warp out right away. And there he does. 1 kill and a recall.
Yeah, well, Neeb trying to catch these stalks of ShoWTimE. ShoWTimE just poking and right away running back. He's not going to let himself get trapped. Neeb, though, that was pretty close with his Mudship core. Had to force the recall, of course. And right away goes into a quick robo. Could try for some drop plays here.
He definitely could. See if he does want to go into that. He could also go for his fast disruptor play as he did in game number 1. Daybreak, a bit of a bigger map compared to Newkirk, but definitely still viable. Is going to go for the Twilight Council follow-up here too, so could get that blink on the way.
Definitely, and ShoWTimE follows suit as we have very, very similar builds from both players. Gonna see both being quite passive as well throughout this game. And, well, it depends on who's going to be the aggressor here. Right now, we're kind of just waiting for someone to take initiative and really seeing what they choose from both of their tech structures, because we do see a Warp Prism right away from Neeb. I'm kind of expecting the same for ShoWTimE. But the question is, are we going to see Blink or are we going to see Glaives?
That is the real question. Blink here for Neeb. And Blink for ShoWTimE. So, very similar builds from these two players. Not too much of a deviation. We do see a Warp Prism first for Neeb, whereas an Observer first for ShoWTimE. Kind of highlights the tendencies of these players. ShoWTimE more of a passive Protoss, where Neeb is more aggressive.
Yeah, Neeb, he's really, really quick by getting out with his Warp Prism, but it was scouted by ShoWTimE if he was paying attention, so he should be able to prepare for this in time, especially with Blink on the way and those Stalkers in his natural. He should be all right against this pressure. Hallucinated Phoenix coming into both bases here, going to scout most of the infrastructure. So both players kind of know what's up, and they kind of get a full read on each other.
Warp Prism not going to get any damage this game, so we generally do see this in longer series where, you know, game 1 you sustain damage from a certain, you know, technique, and then game 2 or game 3 you go up against it again, but this time you are prepared. And ShoWTimE was very prepared for this, and ShoWTimE this time is going to be the first player to go for that double robotics facility Robo Bay and move into the disruptor transition first.
Yeah, well, I really like this for ShoWTimE. He will have the earlier disruptors, as you point out, and that's going to be a big deal if he does push out before Neeb has that kind of nice number of 3 or 4. But Neeb now adding his own Robo Bay and his second Robo Facility, so he's going to be slightly behind ShoWTimE. But if he's the defender, of course, the sheer distance on the map is going to nullify that, of course. The thing for Neeb, though, is that he does have a few extra units as he's pushing across the map, and what he does have as well is the utility of the Warp Prism, and it plays such a big role because it keeps ShoWTimE back in his base at all points in time, and if he doesn't pay attention, he can lose a lot, of course.
I would hope that he goes for a second Adept here. There it is. And it looks like ShoWTimE was sending something up to that location. Is he going to scout it? Oh! Passing by in the night, but he does have some Stalkers there to defend against this. So he did know this was on the way. And Neeb, going over to that third base, wants to check it at least with his entire army. Was ready to fight to the death over there, but sees nothing and perhaps going to take his own third.
It does look like it. Oh, ShoWTimE coming around just a few seconds too late. Does find the probe. But of course gets a very nice scout here, knowing exactly now what Neeb is up to. He knows there's a third, and he's going to follow suit. He's looking to add his own third right now with his probe here, as they're both adding disruptors. And I just love the fact that we had in the previous map, we had Phoenix Wars. This time it looks like Disruptor Wars. And I just get so entertained by Disruptor Wars because it's one of those matchups where you can see everything shift in just a matter of like tenths of a second, right?
Yeah, one Disruptor hit, one Purification Nova that hits like 5 Stalkers, 6 Stalkers, then you immediately get the advantage. But you got to be careful. You got to save your own Disruptors. I've seen 8 Disruptors get blown up by 1 Purification Nova. It can get pretty insane.
It really can. It really can. And of course, you got to be so careful that you don't actually attack with your Disruptors and move them forwards and just lose them. We did see Neeb in the very first map try something very similar to that, and he almost lost several Disruptors trying to be overly aggressive with them. Of course, it did work out very well in the end for him. So now he keeps on being aggressive with the Warp Prism, keeps 3 Stalkers back in the main base of ShoWTimE, and ShoWTimE's moving out at the same time as Neeb. Neeb right now is spotted by the Zalaga Watchtower, and here comes the first Disruptor Nova. Not going to hit anything.
Yeah, second Purification Nova coming out here from Neeb, and here we go. Looks like 6 Disruptors on the side of ShoWTimE, only 3 here, or 4 rather, for Neeb so far. Looks like he is joining up with a couple more that are moving across the map. As I said before, Neeb's control, I've always said, has been better. He's going to snipe one of the Disruptors. A nice catch.
Very nice indeed, and right now Neeb is just keeping on the pressure. Of course, ShoWTimE does have the better vision, so he does have a slight advantage in terms of that. But Neeb, of course, right now has to be careful, loses a Disruptor. Yeah, this is a very tense moment for both players.
Oh man. Very, very close. Neeb sticking on the high ground. He wants to go for snipes there on the Disruptor. If, you know, ShoWTimE just sends his one Disruptor a little bit too far. There is that pesky Warp Prism up in the top left. He could try to distract ShoWTimE with that at any point in this game. Here it comes.
And Disruptor Novas keep on hitting, or rather trying to hit, but no major damage just yet. The few Disruptors have gone down. Very nicely for ShoWTimE as well, keeping that cannon so that the Warp Prism can't deal any damage. But we do see Neeb transitioning right now. He's adding the Stargate behind this, so it looks like he doesn't want to keep just at this mid-tier kind of army with the Disruptors. And ShoWTimE right now is doing a fantastic job keeping in control of the Zalaga Watchtower, so he always knows where Neeb is.
A very tense game here. In the middle of the map, both players really just trying to find a small, you know, edge. And now this time, both players are going to lose a Disruptor. One to a Purification Nova, another to a Blink. And now the rocks in the middle are going to go down. Both players kind of thinking, okay, let's fight in a wider path so it's easier for both of us, or perhaps for ShoWTimE. He doesn't want to fight that ramp area, so breaking that down.
And here we go. Oh, nice hit here from ShoWTimE. Neeb getting quite aggressive with his army, but ShoWTimE, I gotta say, although Neeb's control is supposed to be really fantastic, he's done a really good job by keeping the Disruptor count low for his opponent. Here we go though, Neeb with a forward blink trying to catch a few of these units. ShoWTimE has to go back again, and ShoWTimE trying for the forward base. This means we're going to see a lot of engagements here in the middle.
See some force fields coming down, and Neeb trying to send one Stalker forward to scout to see if maybe he can blink onto the Immortals, but not quite able to there. And ShoWTimE with the Watchtower is getting a huge advantage. Another Disruptor lost here by Neeb. He has to be very careful about how he takes these engagements. Okay, finally, an Oracle added in. Now he can tag the army and know exactly where the Disruptors are. It's a huge advantage.
Indeed, but then again, we do see ShoWTimE 11 Disruptors to 6 of Neeb. But Neeb right now is not making any more Disruptors for the moment. Now he goes back to making them. But right now, he needs to start killing off some of the ShoWTimEs. ShoWTimE just keeps on making more Disruptors. He just won't stop. He's stacking all of them on top of each other. Here we go, Disruptor Novas all over the place.
Oh, that was a really big hit. It looks like another one on the other side there onto the army of ShoWTimE, but ShoWTimE getting a much bigger hit. And now Neeb going to back up on top of that ramp. Another big blink. ShoWTimE, I have to say, he is controlling this quite better.
These Purification Novas are just so horrifying to watch as anyone who's ever played Pro. As you can see your army just disappear in the matter of moments. I want to see Neeb, though, get a bit more aggressive with this Warp Prism. I need to see a bit of a bigger warp in and just going for the harassment towards that third. ShoWTimE right now can just stick here in the middle, and being ahead by 7 Disruptors, I mean, it's going to be difficult for Neeb to do anything here.
Man, Neeb doesn't even send out a Purification Nova there, trying to micro his Oracle, but a huge blink forward, and ShoWTimE could have lost a bunch.
Oh,
Oh, nice blink out of the way.
You gotta be so careful in these positions, and it's such a tense moment. I gotta say, between these two players, anything can happen at any point. And look at that Disruption Nova hitting several Disruptors of ShoWTimE. Neeb, though, still behind.
Yeah, getting the big hit there. It's happened 3 or 4 times where Neeb sends out his Purification Nova after ShoWTimE. There again, and he loses one by one his Disruptors in these fights. So needs to be careful about that. It's been like the 4th or 5th time that has happened. Uh-oh.
Yeah, those cannons are not finished, and these Zealots are getting quite aggressive. And in the middle of the map, we still have these skirmishes. trying to find some kills, but neither player really making any decisive moves just yet.
I lost you on the observer as well once again. I don't know what's going on.
Alright, well the Zealots are coming in towards that 4th base. Actually, they changed direction. Where are they heading? Are they trying to just go back to the army of ShoWTimE? He just decides that he doesn't want to go for this harassment, I guess? Or actually, no, ShoWTimE setting up a flank. This is quite brilliant. He's getting quite aggressive towards the eastern side here, and the flank is set up with those charge slots.
Is he going to go for it? It looks like he will. Neeb has got to be careful about that position. Uh-oh, Purification Nova gets a bunch of his Stalkers. The Blink has been used, and here come the Disruptors.
Very nice moves for ShoWTimE. Is it going to be enough, though? Neeb right now trying to get out of this. Where are the Disruptors, though, of ShoWTimE? They're nowhere to be found. Very nice engagement from ShoWTimE, though, does force Neeb back. But those Disruptors weren't in position to really kill everything.
Yeah, that was a weird fight. All of his Disruptors were still on the top of the ramp. And look at this. 17 probes go down. I didn't even see where that was happening because we had the fight at the same time. Looks like perhaps at the 4th base, or maybe that Warp Prism finally got some damage.
Yeah, it looks like he managed to. Right now, ShoWTimE trying to get rid of the Warp Prism, won't be able to, as he did get a new Oracle who's working as an observer. Very nice tag here on the army. He can start dodging a lot, but still losing the Disruptor.
That's happened so many times. That's like the 5th time, 6th time. Like, how many Disruptors are you going to lose like that?
And here we go, forward blink from both players. Purification Nova's coming out everywhere, but nothing big killed yet. Neeb's got to be careful, though.
Oh, a big Purification Nova hits a bunch of Stalkers over there. That Disruptor is going to go down up on the top of the ramp, and Neeb, now down 20 supply, has to back off. He does have a 4th base, but not a 5th base. ShoWTimE does have that Nexus up on the top left.
And here comes the switch from ShoWTimE, adding the 2nd and 3rd Stargate and the Fleet Beacon. He's getting ready for the Tempest, I would believe. Maybe even Carriers if he wanted to.
It's going to be interesting to see what he picks here, but he's only allowed to do this. He's only able to do this because of the way that the fight went. Once he got that big of an advantage, he's like, okay, I could still lose if I take a big Disruptor shot, so instead, with my advantage, I'm just going to change techs here. And I definitely like the play because Neeb is going to be stuck on Disruptors and kind of defending for a while, so he can't threaten ShoWTimE, so ShoWTimE is able to make this transition.
And Neeb going to the Dark Shrine. Looks like he wants to go for a bit of more Archon-based army. And here we go. We do see the Graviton Catapult coming out for ShoWTimE. And ShoWTimE is going to go into those carriers. See Neeb at the top here trying to still defend. But as you point out, it's going to be difficult for Neeb to counteract these carriers.
Now Neeb a little bit out of position. Gets one of his Disruptors caught. And that Stasis Ward is not really going to help out all too much. Even a big warp in here. So many Zealots of ShoWTimE. But he's got to be careful. All of those Disruptors are all alone. They will be sniped down and taken out. And he's not really getting all that much damage with them.
No, I'm not really sure why he brought those Disruptors to try to attack the Nexus. ShoWTimE right now is quite aggressive with his army, but he's got to watch out, though. He's got to buy time for the carriers because he does have the better late-game composition. So it's all about ShoWTimE just delaying the game as much as possible.
Oh, a very confident blink here from Neeb, even without that much vision. He did have the tag, actually, so he did know where those units were. Does blink forward, grab a couple of Stalkers. Now he's very confident to potentially take this fight.
And Neeb has now gone to the point where he has about as many Disruptors as his opponent, and these carriers are still far from being done. This is the opportunity for Neeb. If he wants to strike, he's got to strike now.
Oh, and those Stalkers, they blink forward. Got to be careful about that. You see one zoning Purification Nova up towards the top, and once again, 7th or 8th time that's happened. ShoWTimE getting the Purification Nova off first, and will win that 1v1 Disruptor war. We have carriers on the way. He doesn't have any yet, but 3 are about to pop.
Indeed, and when they do, I mean, this is going to be so hard for Neeb to deal with. He has a lot of Stalkers, of course, but as soon as you blink forward, those Purification Novas can just clear your entire army. So I'm not really sure if he needs himself to go into the Stargates, perhaps, but he's got to know this is coming. He hasn't been scouted for quite some time. He doesn't know of those Stargates.
Okay, kind of a move command here. He does have more Stalkers, so Neeb should win this fight.
Uh-oh,
really
what a
big
hit. He killed a lot of Disruptors with that one. He gets another one. ShoWTimE is definitely on point.
Yeah, he really is, and what is Neeb going to do? It looks like he wants to split up his army like he was the other day against Nurcio. And not sure how that's going to work out. It looks like he just wants to out-multitask and distract ShoWTimE here, but ShoWTimE seems to split up his army quite well.
Yeah, ShoWTimE right now, very nice harassment towards that 5th base of Neeb. Neeb right now trying to take the fight here against the Immortal. Not going to work all too well as he's pushing on forward. Where are those carriers to come in from the top here?
Oh, 2 disruptors do go down of ShoWTimE. Could have more casualties here. He's going to be forced to back off. And even with those carriers too, because small number of Stalkers can still blink under that. He needs to be grouped up.
Oh, Neeb Stalker's not reacting to those Zealots, losing 20 probes behind this. Neeb right now needs to make something happen. ShoWTimE pushing Neeb back. Those interceptors killing everything. Nice purification over us, but it's not enough at this stage.
He still doesn't really have that much of an answer to the carriers. I mean, he's got 25 Stalkers, but as you said, there's enough to zone them out from getting underneath those carriers. And once the interceptors go out, you're going to be taking large amounts of damage from 6 carriers worth of interceptors as those next 3 pop.
We see Neeb trying to go for a lot of Stalkers here to the top right-hand side. It looks like he's going to stay on this very mid-game kind of tech with Blink, Stalkers, Archons, and Disruptors, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough for these carriers. He's got to be quick about this. 3 more on the way right now, 4 out already. Neeb trying to outmaneuver his opponents, but not getting anything done just yet.
Yeah, and still no way to get underneath those carriers. He's going to be relying on ShoWTimE getting them out of position, but I love what ShoWTimE's doing. Look at that arc. He's getting 1 carrier over to make sure the interceptors get on top of that army, and Neeb taking so many losses on the retreat.
Neeb still keeping himself aggressive though. Blinks on forward. He's got to be watching out for those Purification Novas. As we do see ShoWTimE still having so many disruptors. Only a few left here for Neeb. 5 as the carriers get closing on in on his army. And Neeb just has to run.
He's just on the run, man. He is down so much supply at this point too. No more disruptors in this army even. Gonna just warp in pure Stalker against the army of ShoWTimE. And maybe if he can pull off some miracle blinks at this point, he could have a chance. And adding in Archons now. Oh, a nice there on a couple of carriers. Is going to get 3. Does sustain some damage though. Purification Novas are going to take a chunk of the Stalkers too.
Now ShoWTimE's getting aggressive. He really wants to come in here and deal massive damage. Nice blink in from Neeb, but it's not going to be enough. GG. And ShoWTimE grabs map number 3.
So, we're not going to have a 3-0.
No.
We are going to have a real series here. We we're not going to have... I don't even know if we've had 1-3-1 this entire tournament. I don't think we have.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, because once we got to best of 5, it was all 3-0 or 3-2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, nice. Yeah. We are going to have a real battle here between these two Protosses.
I'm really happy as well that we don't just see a clean sweep. It looks so boring, and even if the games might be interesting, it's over really quickly. I want to see the full 7 games, when it's 2-2 and you're fighting for that final game, and that just makes everything so much more interesting, because then you come down to 1 map for the extra $30,000, and of course, make it to top 3, getting that bronze kind of medal is much more impressive than a top 4 finish.
Yeah, for sure. And as you said, the $30,000 extra dollars, very enticing as well. ShoWTimE just barely hanging on there. His control was better in that game. You really have to hand it to him. Like we were saying, okay, Neeb this, Neeb that. His PvP is this. Poor ShoWTimE. But then ShoWTime's like, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. I got to win 3 in a row. It's not going to be easy, but I got to start with 1. And there you have it on Daybreak. We are going to be going into Whirlwind for game number 4, the biggest map in the pool. And no doubt, we'll be having a longer game here unless someone wants to do something crazy. Maybe we'll see some more Phoenixes come out. Did see Neeb kind of win that game, but mainly because of the botched Dark Templar harass that ShoWTimE went for. So maybe on more even footing, they could have a nice Phoenix War this time.
I would love to see some Phoenix Wars again. It's just so pleasant when you see these Disruptor Wars, Phoenix Wars. I'm just waiting for Dark Templar Wars. That's all I want, man. 20 against 20 with Blink as well. Yeah. Blinking back DTs between hits. That'd be wonderful. But of course, probably not going to happen. Whirlwind of all maps. Going to be a PvP here, of course, soon enough. It seems like one of the players needs some water, though. So we're going to have a bit of a minute or two before we jump in.
It's kind of parched.
Oh, he's not parched anymore, it looks like. Getting ready. as we are going to be jumping into Whirlwind soon enough. So on Whirlwind, we did see ShoWTimE do quite well when he does get into that mid stage of the game. Do you think he has the same chance here on such a big map?
I think he definitely does. Showing in that last game that his control is on par with Neeb is really important for his own confidence, for the confidence of the casters, for the confidence of the fans. I definitely feel like this guy definitely has a better chance than I thought of before, but we'll have to wait and see.
Indeed. We have our first player here in the top right-hand corner of Whirlwind, as the American is going to be playing in yellow. It is Neeb.
Neeb, still a fantastic PvP player. He is up against the German Protoss. His opponent, it is ShoWTimE, bottom right.
Alright, so, gotta say, ShoWTimE, when we do get into the late stage of the game, it does look much more impressive. And I gotta say, he seems like he likes to cut those corners. We saw in the Phoenix Wars, he's trying to move into those carriers, and this time when we had the Disruptor Wars, he decides to move into the carriers. It kind of feels like if you let him go into the carriers, he wins, but if you find out and you hit him before then, he's really susceptible.
Yeah, it was basically because he was able to get enough of a lead that he could make that transition. Daybreak also a very big map, so interesting scouting coming out here. ShoWTimE is going to get unlucky with the path, whereas Neeb will get lucky and scout ShoWTimE first and get a decent amount of information. And being at vertical spawns in PvP compared to cross spawns, I'm not sure if it matters that much. You know, you lose some of the space. The expansion pattern might be a little bit different. Maybe you take the, southmost base on this map for ShoWTimE instead of the one closer to your main. But generally, still a big map. Might be seeing those Phoenix Wars.
Definitely. I think also it's very nice here for Neeb to be the one in the top right-hand side, because you do have a lot of surface area to drop your opponent into the main base with War Prisms. While for ShoWTimE, if you want to do that, you either have to make sure your opponent doesn't have any units out on the map, or you have to go around a huge piece of the map to get into that main base. So, of course, pretty nice here for Neeb, but it's not going to be a huge deal most likely. We do, just like in the first map though, on Newkirk, see a bit of a difference between these two players. This time it's going to be the other way around though. ShoWTimE deciding to be the one who gets Adept and a quick Twilight, while we do see two Stalkers for Neeb.
Yeah, quite a quick Twilight here before the third and fourth Stalkers do come out, so maybe he wants to rush out Blink, especially with that Stalker opening, and get a bit aggressive. Oh, actually, never mind. He did make Adept, so looks like maybe something else could be DTs. We'll just have to see what he wants to go for. The Adepts are great for scouting. Indeed.
He doesn't send them in too far, though. Wants to be kind of careful with them. And that's a Dark Shrine coming out for ShoWTimE. Wow, ShoWTimE. He decides that he really wants to put on some pressure early on here. Gotta see if he can get any damage done, though, because that's a Stargate from Neeb, and if he goes Oracle first, that Oracle does have Revelation.
Yeah, this time I think the Dark Shrine is maybe ever so slightly faster. It is in his main base, but it's going to be negligible amount of time. And so Neeb, he's been so consistent with this Mothership Core Scout. Can he get the Scout in the main of the Dark Shrine?
Oh, he sees Twilight. Doesn't get the Dark Shrine Scout, though. That was on the pixel.
That was... Wow. I mean, seeing the Twilight, you always have to be careful. So you see that probably he is going to be keeping that Oracle at home. That is what I would assume here. Does throw that Sentry up on top. See if he keeps it up there. He has to be so careful about this.
So it's going to be Oracle to come out right away. The Pylon has been placed in front here. The Stalker might catch a glimpse of the DT if Neeb is paying attention, but this is going to be very interesting. The Robo is on its way, but two DTs already on the way, and there we go. The Stalker sees this coming, and Neeb is so prepared.
Is he going to try to kill the Pylon before the Warpin?
He's going to try.
Might be able to. Oh, no, just barely not. Still does kill the Pylon, but now he does not have a force field for the ramp, but with the... okay, he's going to try to block here. Nicely done, and with the Revelation, we'll see the first DT. Second DT, though, he's going to have to force field that one out.
Yeah, nice moves from Neeb though. Fighting invisible units is never easy, but he's making it look so, as the Oracle right now is just waiting for the Revelation energy. Could be there quite soon. So right now, ShoWTimE does get a few more minutes to, or moments rather, just to harass these workers. But meanwhile, Neeb is just holding on tight.
Look at Neeb microing that one probe away from the DT.
He's so scared right now.
Gets it in, uses the force field again. And the second Oracle will pop, and a Revelation will be used, and DT will be killed.
Yeah, so kind of underwhelming. I mean, in total, we did see 6 workers killed, but you had to go into the Dark Shrine. And we did see one of the probes being killed here for ShoWTimE as well. So ShoWTimE did extend quite far doing this, and we saw this on Vani as well. Just this very similar kind of build, and Neeb did so well on that map.
Neeb with the massive army supply lead, and he is making a Void Ray, but with the Observer follow-up as well. Maybe he just wants to bring that with his army. With Immortals on the way too, he's definitely going to have a much stronger army just based off the build that ShoWTimE went for, and you know how well Neeb was able to hold it off. So he could have a decent push coming up here soon.
What I really like as well is the fact that he went into 2 Oracles, because right now he's threatening so much in terms of economic damage for ShoWTimE. So ShoWTimE's going to be super careful about these coming in. He has 3 Stalkers in his main. He's got several Stalkers in his natural as well, just waiting. But if Neeb attacks the front, ShoWTimE's going to have to choose where he wants to place those Stalkers.
Look at the second Void Ray on the production tab for Neeb.
Oh my god.
I think we're going to be seeing a push here in just a bit. He only had 2 gateways before, now he's adding a couple more, and just really focusing on Immortals and Void Rays for this push. And when you're going up against Blink Stalkers, as is a very common follow-up after the DTs, and you can see there are 9 Stalkers on the map here, the bulk of ShoWTimE's army, Void Ray Immortal is going to be the perfect composition. You can follow that up with a Warp Prism and 5 more gates, and it's going to be a really nice push coming out of Neeb.
It really will be, and ShoWTimE's going to be able to scout this most likely with his hallucinated Phoenix, but it's a quite late scout. These 5 gateways we were almost done. There we go. Now he knows what's up. Can he get the units in time, though? That's the question. He's going to be having to add all those DTs, it looks like, to make Archons out of them. But scouting this was really important, of course, because now he's going to start preparing. He needs to counter that 3rd base, I think, though.
He puts down a 3rd base, yeah, and starts resonating glaives. That's not what he wants right now. I don't think he realized it. He got the scout of all those extra gateways. Maybe he just assumes that Neeb has a 3rd base instead, and he's like, okay, he's macroing up. I'm behind. I need to get my 3rd base. But no, look at this army.
And he's still not counting that 3rd. He needs to warp in every unit he can. He needs to survive at this point. He's making Archons, he's making Immortals. Maybe he's just saving it to buy some time. That could be the case. But right now, Neeb, he's looking for the Revelation. He might even be looking to deal some economic damage to that probe line. But at this stage, he's been making so many units. He's not even looking for 3rd base. More warp is coming in here for Neeb, and Neeb's getting ready.
Look at that, 7 Adepts on the way. He could even use the Oracles in the fight, too, to just help burn down the Archons. Looks like Neeb is thinking about taking it safe and going up to the 3rd to cancel that first. And we are going to see a cancel, okay. I thought he wasn't going to cancel it. I'm like, dude,
buy every second he can.
Yeah.
He's getting a Robo Bay behind this, Neeb that is, but ShoWTimE decided to get glaives and everything behind. This is going to be very interesting. Here we go though, Neeb going for the fight, Shades in, waiting for those Shades to finish up so he can trap this army, and there we go. The rest of the army doesn't follow though.
Yeah, it's kind of all alone there on the ramp, and gonna come in and Prismatic Alignment down all of those overcharged pylons, but he lost a lot of Adepts with that move. And Resonating Glaives finishes up. You see, actually the Forge is unpowered at 1.7 seconds, and Neeb is going to back off.
Yeah, that's kind of underwhelming. I was looking forward to Neeb going in for that fight, but I mean, he was just going in with 10 Adepts and then didn't go in with his main army, so falling back to his 3rd, which is going to be a bit earlier. He's also going into the Disruptors earlier, but ShoWTimE now, he's adding more Archons and he's adding that Warp Prism as well. He might go for the counter push.
I don't know about this counter push, to be honest. I mean, Resonating Glaives is fantastic. He will have a decent amount of Adepts. I want to take a look at how many... Okay, he's got 7 gateways on the way, and does he have a Warp Prism with this army?
He's getting one right now.
Okay, so definitely could begin to push on the back of that 3rd base and maybe begin to pressure.
Yeah, ShoWTimE now posturing really aggressively on the map. Neeb, he will need to try to defend this. He does have about the same armor supply, but ShoWTimE with all those Archons is looking quite scary. He's got to see those stasis wards though.
Oh! Doesn't kill it. Kind of messes it up. That one Archon pushes forward, and that will buy Neeb some time to get some disruptors out.
I like the fact though that ShoWTimE's expanding behind this. He's got to watch out though so he doesn't lose the Archon. He should be picking it up with the Warp Prism if he can.
Should be... Oh, he's actually warping in stuff. He might lose that Archon.
Wow. Does he want to take the fight that badly? It looks like it. That Archon though.
Kill that Archon. What? One more hit would have killed that Archon. It's got like 20 health right now. But,
gotta say though, it's trapped by the stasis ward again, so even more units will be going down here for ShoWTimE. Is ShoWTimE now going back? This is a game of failed push, it looks like.
Yeah, that was just very underwhelming, and now these guys are dead. Goodbye. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Really nice pickup. I actually didn't see that Warp Prism come in.
Very clever here from ShoWTimE.
Yeah. And so, we kind of just back off from here. And interesting plays, an immediate switch into carriers here for Neeb, whereas ShoWTimE is committing to that Blink Stalker with the Disruptor play, and Neeb is like, no, we're going to totally skip that part of this game.
So Neeb's kind of cutting corners here, I feel, going so quickly into carriers, and he's infamous in his PvZ to do this. So we're going to see if he gets away with it. This will be a shoot scout, though. If ShoWTimE can see the switch, he does see the Stargate and the Fleet Beacon. He knows exactly what's coming right now, and he should be getting super aggressive from this point on.
Yeah, you can see he's making double Disruptor, and no doubt a push is coming in here. You're spot on. He has to, essentially, unless he wants to follow up by making his own Stargates and play from behind that way. He's got a stronger army. He knows this is a huge commitment from Neeb, but still, he's just going to send in only his Stalkers to harass.
Very interesting here. They let Neeb get time enough to stop building those carriers. I mean, ShoWTimE is going into his own Disruptors, but I was expecting him to just start gathering up as many units as he can and try to hit just before carriers arrive so that you can just get, the most maximum punch possible. It looks like that might actually be the case as he now is moving out with the rest of his army. Those Blinkstalkers just making sure actually that there are no observers. He was clearing up a way of vision here, but he's engaging a bit too prematurely, trying to find a few of these tech units. The observer does go down though, and actually there's not a single observer for ShoWTimE. When that mothership comes out, he won't have vision.
Yeah, that's a really important point that you just made there, and using the Stalkers to snipe a Void Ray is nice, but he does lose some. Loving the Stasis Wards. Just really going to help out if any huge engage comes in with the depths. You can essentially just make them null and void, and
oh my god, Neeb! What a hit from the Purification Nova.
I mean, ShoWTimE has Blink. Had he already blinked there?
Yeah, he just blinked to catch like a Disruptor or something, yeah.
So there you go. You got to be so careful about that. Neeb taking his own bit of damage, but now he has trapped some of these. If he can line it up with the Disruptor hits, it's going to be massive, and what is ShoWTimE going to do?
It's going to be difficult to save these units. Let's see if he does use those Purification Novas just in time or not. We do have the first few carries coming out as well.
Oh, he's not even going to go for it, okay.
Yeah, I got to say, ShoWTimE saving those units quite important here because he needs to fight right now.
Huh. I almost felt like those were free units, but he just kind of didn't want to use them just in case, I suppose, just to be safe. He has carriers on the way, I suppose. Decent hit there on all those Archons is going to force ShoWTimE to back off. And now with carriers out on the map and no real response out of ShoWTimE, I mean, I don't really know what he's going to do to respond to this.
ShoWTime's getting a few of these observers, and he's trying to have a way to see the army of his opponent. But he's got to watch out, though. That Stasis Ward will fetch 3 Archons and a Stalker, and that's a pretty nice catch here for Neeb. And those carriers have now arrived. 3 more on the way. He's going to be up to 6 soon. And he can actually just surround this army and start killing off the Archons.
Is he not going to take advantage of the Stasis Wards? I suppose with an attack coming into the 4th base now, he does have to defend against this, but kind of, I love the Stasis Ward play, but he's not really following up on it. He's going to take a good fight over here.
So I think what's happening is that he's trying to just stay alive at this point. He knows he's so far ahead in terms of technological army. and quality of army. So I think he believes that if he can just survive for another few minutes and get enough carriers, there's no way he's going to lose. So that kind of makes sense then. He doesn't want to dive onto purification over of his opponents. But I completely agree with you. He could have gone on several units there. Right now things can get kind of icky though, since ShoWTimE isn't spotted by Neeb as he's getting ready to push into this third base.
What is ShoWTimE going to do, man? He's got one Stargate on the way. He doesn't really have a transition point right now, and he's going to try. I suppose he's going to play for the long game. It is Whirlwind after all, and Neeb up to 6 carriers right now. He's going to have 9 in total. Could even get another 3 once these 3 do finish up. And what can you really fight with carriers if not more carriers of your own? So...
yeah, it's just both players just adding more and more Stargates. Fleet beacon on the way for ShoWTimE. It's gonna be carrier wars.
Are you a fan of these wars as well?
Yes. I gotta say, it sounds really boring, but hey, interceptors versus interceptors. But in these wars though, having the extra 9 carriers and the better production is a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, a massive advantage. Look at this, Neeb. I mean, the Adept King is going to attempt to do some economic harass too. Looks like he may want to go for the third base, a less defended base. There's actually nothing over here, no cannons, no anything. Even probes are transferring over here. He's like, please take me, Adepts.
Oh, and here come the carriers as well. Very nice harassments coming out from Neeb. ShoWTimE at the same time, as he's losing all this, is going to go for the aggression. Gotta watch out for those Purification Novos. Very nice here with the Stasis Ward as well, defensively for Neeb. He's got to watch out though, he might actually lose a part of his army.
Really nice recall. He takes out the base of ShoWTimE, comes back with all his carriers and says, what? What are you going to do? You want to fight against my 9 carriers? I didn't think so. And 15 probes die at the same time. Neeb is in total control of this game now.
Even gets the Nexus. Neeb right now, beautiful play. The fact he got away with these carriers just snowballed the entire game for him. And right now he's maxed out with carriers. I mean, he's up to soon 14 carriers. How do you fight this?
I mean, GG. That's how you fight it, Neeb. He is going to take 3rd place in WESG Global Finals and take home that glorious $50,000 grand, or prize. I shouldn't say grand prize because it is 3rd place, but still a really nice chunk of money, and well done to him. His PvP is always a treat to watch.
Definitely. I gotta say, I was very impressed with both the first, second, and this final map, of course. The game on Daybreak was a bit closer, of course. ShoWTimE showing a lot of promise there. But what I've learned today is basically the one who gets carriers first wins.
That's what it looks like in PvP. I mean, carriers are a pretty strong unit right now. You can ask all the Zerg players out there for sure. And even in PvP, it's just that there are a lot of points where if you try to transition too early, you can get punished for it. So if you sneak it out, if your opponent underestimates it, which I think ShoWTimE kind of did in that game, he was like, oh, you're going carriers. And he scouted it with that Warp Prism drop. He's like, I'm going to make more disruptors and try to kill you before you can get enough carriers. And then he attacked when Neeb had like 2 carriers, but the position of Neeb was too good. And then ShoWTimE was like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Now what do I do? And then he just kind of stagnated and didn't transition and just got too far behind.
Yeah. I gotta say though, Neeb looking so solid in almost every aspect of this PvP. I mean, taking a look at the first game, Neeb was the aggressor, putting on all that pressure with a really quick double disrupt to production. Second map, of course, we did see ShoWTimE being the aggressor with those DTs early on, but Neeb, of course, handling it like nothing.
Yeah.
Third game a bit closer, and now in the fourth game just looking so solid.
Yeah, so taking a look at the bracket, of course, Neeb is going to take 3rd place. ShoWTimE will take $20,000 home. Neeb will take $50,000 home. And, of course, after this match, guys, the match you've all been waiting for, the 2 Koreans that qualified to this tournament are fighting head-to-head in one big TVT to decide who is going to take the grand prize of $20,000 compared to that 2nd place prize of